Kotaro has it all. He has a cute childhood friend who's willing to sleep with him every single day, despite the fact that she wets the bed. A girl who's willing to be an idol, gyaru, or anything else that he wants. She has an edgy side, and yeah, she's willing to let him touch her in the slime jugs. Puniru is a Kawaii Slime is a series that I was very cautiously excited for. I was getting a lot of Hare and Gu vibes for the two people that have actually watched that show. I was getting those vibes from the PV and whatnot, but at the same time, I was getting other mixed feelings as well. Will it deliver? Is it going to be a safe mess? Is it going to be too juvenile? Is it going to keep me laughing until the very end or not? Well, I'm here to give my impressions of the first 2 episodes of the series, so let's just jump into it. Puniru opens up with Kotaro, who, when he was very young, he was watching this kids network, and they were going through this whole process of how to create slime. So he's all excited. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna make some slime. He gets all the ingredients together. He starts putting together. They're talking about adding extra things like glitter to it. He goes over to grab some stuff to go put into it. He trips and falls, drops this picture that he drew and all the other ingredients on top of his creation, and it becomes a real living slime. And at that point, he calls it Puniru. We'll jump forward, and Kotaro is getting a little older. He's grown out of his kid age. He no longer wants to play with slime and everything. He's waking up every morning to Puniru in his bed, and she's slimed the whole thing, wet it. And he's getting mad at her sleeping with him still because she's a slime that has gotten older, and her body has changed, and they can't be sleeping together anymore because he's a grown kid now. And he doesn't want to play with slime anymore because, again, he's grown out of that. Well, Puniru is the least of his worries. As he goes to school, the school is full of just absolute dorks, mayhem, and craziness. I don't think there's a single normal person in the school, which you typically get from a series like this. And thus begins the shenanigans of Kotaro's life as he's constantly trying to avoid Puniru. He thinks that she's extremely annoying. She's constantly trying to get his attention. She's obsessed with how cute and kawaii she is, so she's constantly trying to get Kotaro to say that she's kawaii. Kotaro at the same time is obsessed with Kirada. She's like the most beautiful and most perfect girl in the school, and obviously that's not really the truth behind the scenes. She has a dark secret that she must keep from everybody. You have the playboy who's actually quite childish. You have the 2 friends in his class that are obsessed with Puniru because they just want to touch slime bobs. So on and so forth. That's the basic gist of the first 2 episodes of the series. Not like a crazy mind-blowing story to go through here. It's just a goofy comedy series, so I wouldn't expect much out of it. But yeah, my thoughts on it so far. I'm kind of getting a mix of both things that I kind of expected for the series. On one end, coming into it, again, I was kind of hoping that it would just be pure shenanigans. Just so silly that it's just funny. Just do the most off-the-wall bonkers things. Again, similar to something like Hare and Gu. For those that don't know what Hare and Gu is, it's essentially about a boy who, randomly out of nowhere, this girl he thinks might be an alien or something like that shows up in his village in the forest. And the whole joke is that he's the only one that sees her when she's acting like an alien and doing like things that humans don't do, while everybody else in the village just believes that she's a normal, cute little girl. So it's constantly that thing where he's reacting to how crazy insane this girl is, while everybody else is like, oh, that's just her. What are you talking about? And I thought that was going to be a similar flavor here, but it seems like very quickly everybody knows that Puniru is a slime. At some point, they get to try it out or they get to test it out, and suddenly they're realizing, oh, that's the slime, but they all kind of accept her as being Puniru. So it's got a similar thing, but it's not the same thing. But Hare and Gu was just super wild in that regard. And I feel like this is sort of doing a lot of those things, but at the same time, there's a lot of points throughout the series where I think it's either trying to dredge up the same joke too many times, or it just has these lulling points. But that said, I can at least say so far I'm enjoying this series because at least once per episode, it does something absolutely bonkers, and I am just rolling laughing. From the very get-go, yes, I got a little bit of a chuckle out of the idea that, yes, he wakes up this morning and he's talking about her body changing and everything, and then it turns into literally she just slimed the bed, literally wet the bed. And he's like really mad about that whole situation, going to school, and she's following him there, and she keeps trying to get his attention, and it turns into a falling on top of scene where it's all doki doki, but then it realizes that he's getting absorbed by her. It's playing a lot of these funny little tropes at the same time of putting a little slime twist to it. But the thing that really got me like just laughing in the first episode was the whole situation with Puniru trying to get Kotaro's attention, and his classmates talking about how, yes, there's these idols out there that they're really attracted to. So Puniru, wanting to be cute, she decides that she wants to transform into one of them. She actually transforms into the one that the 2 other boys are obsessed with, And she literally just goes this whole magical form transformation, which she does regularly, and she transforms into an idol. And she got these massive jugs. And of course, the guys are like super like into it, and they're like, "Oh, we got to test out to make sure it's right." And so it goes into her like literally going, "Oh, well, if that's what the boys want, sure, you can touch them." And then she just slices off her chest, and these bombs just go flying through the air, slop onto the desk, and they proceed to test them. And then they're obsessed with her after that. That's those kind of like off the wall hilarious moments where it's kind of crude and it's hilarious. Now, granted, in the first episode, there's also a whole bit where she turns into a garu in order to distract the playboy of the school. He turns out not to be a real playboy, and he's actually a goofball. But then we go in the second episode, and we have a hilarious moment there as well, with this whole situation where he's trying to keep Kirara distracted. So he has Puniru, knowing that Kirara is like this really nice girl that likes to spend time at the children's homes and tries to, dedicate her time to help in the community. He has Puniru transform into a little girl with a backpack and everything and start crying going down the hallway. And then Kirara pretty much reveals her secret that she's like super doty mom version. Like she sees Puniru and she's like, "Arara, arara, arara," and then she starts going like psycho crazy and grabs Puniru and draws her in and says, "Oh, don't worry, mom is gonna take care of you," and shoving her into her chest, and then starts cramming food down Puniru's mouth, and then like becomes super protective when Kotaro shows up and smacks him. She just goes in like some crazy horror movie mode, and it's super unsettlingly funny. I was laughing so hard. I made a clip of that, and I've watched it so many times. It's so dorky how it transitions from literally arara, 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 and it starts getting louder and more like rapid, and she's getting closer and closer, and Puniru's like terrified at what the hell did I just I awakened some beast from the nether realm. How do I put it back? It was crazy. It was so crazy. But then the rest of the episode is fine. It goes into Puniru getting captured by this professor and him doing experiments on her turning into evil mode, and her doing mischievous things that are really just kind of, I opened a stall and said this guy is pooping, and the guy's like, it would be a problem if I did it somewhere else. And she goes into the boys' locker room and they're all screaming like girls. It's just kind of like very surface level stuff. So it's like the series itself, when it hits, it absolutely hits with how bonkers it is. The problem is that everything outside of that, like I've pretty much named all the funny bits for me, and yes, comedy subjective. I've named all the funny bits for me, and everything else is kind of just there. Like a lot of this repeating stuff around Yosuke is not really hitting the playboy. He's really into like these games that kids play. So over here, he's like the dashing boy that's super pretty, and Kotaro's afraid that he's going to take Kirara from him. But he's just kind of a dorky kid, like he's just juvenile. Every time he shows up, it kind of plays that bit again. And it's like, okay, so that's that guy's joke. And I'm sure that's probably what's going to happen to Kirara going forward. It's probably going to turn to every time that Kirara shows up, she's going to play that same joke about how obsessed she is with Puniru and wanting to be a doting mother of her. I mean, they did that with the end of the episode where basically Kirara gives Puniru off to Kotaro, like, "Oh, you could marry my daughter," even though it's not her daughter. But again, when it hits, it just absolutely hits. It's just, unfortunately, everything else around it is just kind of there. Overall, it's just really the concept of Kotaro trying to live a normal school life while Puniru brings sort of an oddity to it, like trying to sell her fingers and body parts at the school to make money. Still, I really do like the concept here. Kotaro and Puniru and their just absolutely dorky nature with each other, him constantly pushing back on her constantly wanting that attention. She's super cute. I love her design. This series definitely has a unique design to it. It looks more like a kid's show type of design, even though it does have sort of a lot of that raunchiness, like, again, Puniru turning into a Gyaru and possibly being assaulted by the playboy, but no, it's really that he just wants to play a game with her. It's super weird in that regard, which is, I guess, not really unheard of. There's a lot of like kids show type of style shows that are trying to capture the young audience, but it has that raunchy humor in there that's constantly mixed throughout it. This one definitely kind of does a good balance of being like juvenile and into the realms of crude. But either way, I'm definitely sticking with it. If I can at least get one like hilariously laugh out loud moment every single episode with some, mixed in there good moments, I'm definitely going to keep watching it. It's definitely delivering enough for me that I am enjoying it. If anything, it gives me a nice clip a week to post on Twitter that everybody's going to go, WTF is this show? But anyhow, that's my thoughts so far on Puniru is a Kawaii slime. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as always. If you did, hit the like button down below, comment, let me know what you think of the series if you're going to be checking it out. Additionally, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe before you leave. I'm doing first impressions of all the shows this season. Additionally, if you like this content and you want to support the channel more, I have links in the description below. Greatly appreciate it, but it does. Until next time, you'll take care.